updates on sports stories around the globe. We'll move on to Aaron Akirjala. Aaron, great to have you. How are you?
Yes, a very good morning to you, Rufai, and good morning to you, Doctor. And I'll be here.
Aaron.
Yes, it's Friday, I must say, and always an exciting time for me and sports fans around the world because it's an opportunity to get into the weekend groove when it comes to sports. Well, let's start it off from the big game yesterday. The shocker of a match, talking about the game that Liverpool played against Burnley yesterday at the Anfield. And looking at how things actually played out, that was Liverpool's game to win. And at the end of the day, Liverpool's 68th game unbeaten home run in the Premier League actually came to an end. No thanks to that man on the screen there, Ashley Barnes, as he fired a late penalty to secure a famous win for Burnley. Now, if you look at it closely, Liverpool had actually gone close to 4 years without losing at the Anfield. To be very precise, 1,369 days without a loss. The last loss was in April of 2017 against Crystal Palace. Now, if you look at the table now, you see that Liverpool are 6 points behind Manchester United at the midway of the campaign, which is very worrying, understanding that by this time last season, Liverpool were almost daylight between themselves and second place Manchester City. Now, moving away from that, this weekend it doesn't get easy for Liverpool because they will need to pick themselves up and rise up to the challenge again. Because over the weekend, there will be an FA Cup match that will see them play against Manchester United again. And now, this is the second match in the space of 1 week, and they will be hoping to rise above that particular challenge and banish that particular defeat. Southampton will also be welcoming Arsenal to the St. Mary's tomorrow, while Wycombe Wanderers will be taking on Tottenham Hotspur. And for Chelsea will be hoping themselves will be able to redeem their image and actually also banish defeats that has been lurking at the Stamford Bridge when they take on Luton Town. Let's see how that one plays out. Moving away from that quickly, let's bring this one in. Sergio Kun Aguero, Manchester City striker, is right now has tweeted that he's down with COVID-19. It shows that he's positive. He has been self-isolating for the past 10 days, and this is quite shocking that this is also coming in, that the 32-year-old who has barely played football this season, just 5 games, and his total minutes on the pitch was down to 141 minutes. We're expecting him to be back for Manchester City in the course of the weekend, but that is not going to be happening because he would have to self-isolate and test negative in the course of the next 14 days. Let's see how that one goes. To Spain, where Luis Suarez did what he knows how to do best again, and that is scoring goals. He scored his 11th goal for Atletico de Madrid yesterday as they beat their team. It was a very tough game against Eibar, and ultimately they rose to the occasion and they decided to deliver as it stood. Okay, still pushing it further. If they can actually help us with some of the results there on the screen there, it actually shows, of course, the game against Eibar then. The top scorers chart with Luis Suarez having 11 goals alongside Lionel Messi and Gerardo Moreno in 10. And also, you see that, I put it into context, Atletico de Madrid right now are actually top of the table, and they've actually extended their points to about 7. And they are hoping to keep it that way till the end of the season, and maybe they'll be winning a very rare title in a season that has seen both Barcelona and Real Madrid flog their lines in the La Liga this season. Now, moving away from that, Barcelona themselves played against Korea.
All right, Aaron, just pause for a quick break. We'll come back to you. All right, welcome back to the Morning Show right here on the Rise News channel. Let's quickly move back to Aaron. Aaron, how are you?
Yes, we're speaking about how things were playing out in sports over the last 24 hours. And we've touched on football. Let's quickly touch on NBA and some very critical issues I'll be coming to you guys on. First of all, in the NBA, this was a sublime pass in the game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the LA Lakers. LeBron James he had his pocket picked there literally in the game. That was the play of the game. But nevertheless, you look at the results. 119-104 was the game between New York Knicks and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors losing, not entirely convincing this season. For the LA Lakers in that particular game against the Milwaukee Bucks, it was 113-106, where the Lakers extended the lead. They are in form right now, although not as mercurial as they were last season. I must actually put into context there. Now, moving away from that to some worrying news that has actually approached us this morning, and that is the fact that we've been speaking about whether or not the Tokyo Olympics. You can't even say Tokyo 2020 Olympics because we're around right now in 2021. The Tokyo Olympics will hold. Now, the Japanese government have spoken this morning and they say that they are determined that the Tokyo Olympics will go ahead regardless of rumors that are going around. As a matter of fact, this morning, the Times of London, citing an unnamed senior member of the ruling coalition, reported that Japanese authorities have privately concluded that the Olympics will not proceed due to ongoing pandemic. Although authorities in Japan have formally come out to dispute this particular claim from the Times of London, but it's still in the air whether or not the Olympics will hold or not. In the coming days, things will get clearer, and we are hoping to hear from Thomas Bach, the IOC president, concerning this particular one. Now, here in Nigeria, unfortunate news, we brought it yesterday afternoon, but we must still reiterate it again. The passing of a legend of the game, Joe Errico, former Nigeria goalkeeper, trainer, and assistant coach of the Nigerian team. Joe Errico died at the age of 72. He was named the Jogo Bonito proponent. All right, he passed away on Tuesday morning in Lagos State, surrounded by his family after a brief illness.
Well, Aaron, the way Liverpool is carrying on with Jurgen Klopp, it would be a miracle if they finish even in the 4th position on the league.
True.
The players are still the same. We still have Mohamed Salah, we have Sadio Mane, we have Firmino, Roberto, but their performances are not the same. Now, Sadio Mane and Salah, they were benched initially yesterday. When they came in, it made a little difference, but you still see that this is a team that has lost its team. They haven't won any match in the Premier League in their last 5 games. The last time they showed up confidently was when they played Crystal Palace before Christmas. But however, Jurgen Klopp is not blaming the players, and I think that's something instructive for me between him and Frank Lampard. When Frank Lampard makes mistakes, he blames the players. He says it's the players who are losing confidence. But Jurgen Klopp, it's important to see him taking responsibility, saying that, well, it was a problem of decision making, that if he had made a different kind of a decision, perhaps the outcome would have been different. That's perhaps the difference between the German and Frank Lampard. But the truth of the matter is that Liverpool will need to do something. It's difficult to see that this is the same team of champions, defending champions.
They've gone 400 minutes without scoring a goal.
Almost losing it. So what is the problem? Is it fatigue? Is it complacency? It's difficult to see. About the Tokyo Olympics, yes, the arrogance of the International Olympics Committee chairman, Thomas Bach, I think that's his name.
Yes, Thomas Bach.
Is surprising because he keeps saying, as recently as yesterday, that there's no plan B. That what is certain is that the Tokyo Olympics will go on July 23, and the scheduled relaying of the torch will take place in March. However, enthusiasm for the Olympics itself is very low in Japan, where there has been a spike in cases of COVID-19 infections. And of course, there are persons who have expressed fears about whether indeed that Tokyo Olympics should not just be cancelled completely. I think the International Olympics Committee should follow the data and should follow, the reality instead of the Tokyo 2020 committee and the IOC just insisting that the Olympics will go on by force. Clearly, what we're talking about here is safety and the happiness of the players themselves, as we have seen with the case of the Australian Open. And it is good that you brought up the case of Joe Errico, who died suddenly at 71, contemporary of Emmanuel Okala and Essien, and a man who made a great contribution as a Super Eagles player and subsequently as a coach. Second major loss within the sports community within a space of less than 2 weeks. First, it was Bala Kaoje, the former minister of sports, and now Joe Errico. But then, of course, former footballers, former coaches in Nigeria are saying that they are not well taken care of, that there is no welfare scheme for them. Maybe that's something that we also need to worry about.
I mean, I want to harp on that really strongly, you know, about the welfare scheme. And it is true, they are not well taken care of. I've seen a lot of coaches that you need to see what they went through before they passed on. Even those that were still in the limelight. You know, the death of Joe Erico reminds me of the death of Yemi Tella. Yemi Tella just won a great championship for Nigeria, and we can see how he passed. You know, nothing are being done for all these people. And sometimes you wonder if this country really celebrates its heroes, its national treasures. What is in place for them? We don't even see any scheme on ground for them. Even the ex-nationals are constantly complaining. Aaron, you remember the issue of the WhatsApp group set up recently that a lot of them don't want to join. Because in the end, they are not giving them anything. They take money at their back. The FA spends it all alone and the likes. And it's quite very sad the way we treat, you know, national heroes in sports and across every other angle of our national life in this country. It is really very sad.
But Rufai, I think I must, let me just interject at this point because we know it's been very bad. But the precedent that was set when Chairman Christian Chukwu was ill and needed urgent treatment and needed to be flown abroad seems to have gladdened my heart and seems to be maybe just a turning point.
Aaron, who put the money down? If Femi Otedola didn't put the money down,
yeah, Otedola did.
Do you think you'll have
also put in some money for him too?
And we are not saying, you see, let me tell you something. Those are personalities. We are not saying, I want a structure to be in place that even when Mr. Amaju Pinnick leaves, if any national treasure as regards sports in Nigeria falls ill, there's something to treat them with. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying a structure to be in place.
It takes time.
It takes time since when? The first Nigerian team went on a tour in 1947 in the UK. Since then, we've had something of a scrapping of a national team. It takes time. Since 1947, we've not done anything to date. It takes time. When are we going to do it? Next year, Abi?
Aaron, if we still have a little time, I would like you to comment on FIFA's objection to the Super League in Europe.
Yes.
FIFA's insistence that any player that takes part in any of those Super Leagues will not be allowed to take part in FIFA tournaments. And FIFA has the support of the six confederations. What is this all about? Is it about money? Is it about space? Is it about authority?
I think it's
and
the
CAF, by the way,
yes,
is supporting FIFA.
They have to. But it's stemming from the big teams. The teams that are pushing this particular agenda are Real Madrid, Liverpool, and Manchester United. When you look at all those teams, these are some of the biggest teams in the world. And they are claiming, and even Barcelona are also flirting in and out of that particular system. They want to create their own mini league where they will have a group of teams, about 24, where they will divide them into groups. Nobody's going to be relegated. Nobody is going to be promoted. But FIFA are saying it's just going to disrupt the standing order at the moment. And the big clubs are saying they have the money, and I think they hold the power to do that. And FIFA has just hit them where it will hurt. That any player that actually plays in any FIFA competitions or any UEFA competition or any CAF competition or any CONCACAF competition will not be eligible to play for. I mean, will not be, if they play in that particular Super League, will not be eligible to play for all those leagues. That means most of the players will not have the opportunity to play in the Euros, in the World Cup, and several in the African Cup of Nations, and several other leagues. So you look at that. At the moment, I think it will die a natural death.
Okay,
but
I mean, I want to sound off on that. Aaron,
yes,
I'm very happy that FIFA has done that, and kudos to FIFA. You see, it will cause a lot of trouble as regards the disposition of the league. It's obvious the teams, what they want is more money. If they have that 24 league, then they can bargain crazy television deals to be able to get to them and things like that. If you remember, Aaron, tennis used to be like that before. That's why you had the closed era and the open era. You know, players cut all sorts of deals. There were various associations that organized various events and tournaments in tennis at this point in time until they finally harmonized tennis. And that's why you're seeing what we seemingly have like a cohesion in tennis today. Formerly, tennis used to be everywhere. Aaron, let's not forget, in '76, we once had a Lagos Open in this country that was paying prize money more than Wimbledon.
Yes, they are.
Yes. Because tennis was everywhere and it was for the highest bidder. But you can't continue to allow football go like that. Football has been destroyed by money alone. The too much money and television rights that the likes of Joe Haviland, former FIFA president, then organized for football, has destroyed football and polarized football alone. So when you now create this elitist league, what you are saying is that you don't want the development of football in other lower leagues.
And it will just completely ostracize the smaller teams
definitely.
And the teams without money.
And that's what it's doing. And they will get all the big television rights. They will have the big budget and everything for themselves. And football in general and in total will be the one to suffer for it, because we have seen this play out before. So I'm happy FIFA has done this, and we should never, never allow this come into play at all. We need to be able to develop everybody collectively, because that's how football grows. And when you look at the founders of the red letter game, the likes of Jules Rimet, the likes of Stanley Road, and the likes of Haviland, you would see that this was their intention for collective development of football. That's why when the World Cup started, it has less than 10 teams. They had to bring everybody in, and we are still advocating for more teams in FIFA tournament.
All right, before we go quickly, just before we go, Doctor, you mentioned Liverpool. I think Liverpool's problem is stemming from the fact that they've stretched themselves too thin. Right now, wear and tear, they are experiencing fatigue and they're experiencing burnout, so to speak, because injuries have actually set into the team, and people might claim that injuries are responsible for what is happening to Liverpool. But Liverpool are not struggling to stop people from scoring goals. As a matter of fact, it's the attackers that are failing to convert their chances. Liverpool have gone over 400 minutes without scoring a goal. In football, that is relegation form. If a team actually begins to dabble in that particular statistics, then that team will find themselves hanging by the threads in no time. Liverpool will need to wake up, and we are hoping this weekend we'll have a true blockbuster match between Manchester United and Liverpool, where Liverpool will come out with no hold bars and just hit it where it hurts.
Aaron, each time you predict a blockbuster match, it ends up as an anticlimax.
It should be.
I hope that Man U versus Liverpool in the fourth round of the FA this weekend on Sunday will not end up as an anticlimax.